To kick things off, I am excited to welcome Edifex to Cotiviti. I think many of you have seen this in the news and heard from our teams. But for those of you who are not as familiar, Edifex is a healthcare technology company that's focused on improving healthcare outcomes, reducing costs, and accelerating innovation by optimizing the end-to-end process of patient data interchange. Their solutions assist healthcare organizations in improving their business functions, mitigating risk, ensuring payment accuracy, and scaling value-based operations effectively. In line with Cotiviti's mission and vision, this acquisition will expand and accelerate the development and deployment of innovative healthcare technologies to drive advancement in data analytics, interoperability, and value-based care solutions, therefore enabling all of you, our clients, to navigate their most complex challenges and ultimately improving the healthcare delivery and patient outcomes. So some of the things that really stand out are the ability to streamline the plan and provider operations by helping to simplify the efforts surrounding different processes, standards, and regulations across the claim payments, quality measure, risk adjustment, as well as consumer engagement programs. Also drive the interoperability by focusing on improving collaboration and communication between providers and payers to support improved care delivery, improve efficiency of claim submission, therefore enabling providers and payers to submit and approve claims correctly the first time to deliver faster and more accurate payments, facilitate deeper insights through advanced analytics, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and other technologies across critical healthcare programs, as well as deliver the next generation of risk adjustment across prospective, concurrent, and retrospective programs, therefore empowering all of you, health plans, to identify your population risk to ultimately drive better care. And then also enable the value-based care by supporting the transition to value-based care and reimbursement models, benefiting the administration of alternative payment models and value-based contracting. So a lot to be excited about, and I know a lot of these things are in the news, and also talking to all of you as we are moving forward with different integration activities. So just to highlight some of the things here that we have just come, finished with for Measurement Year 2024. There was a lot of things to celebrate, but a couple of things that we did want to highlight here. And the first one was the Measurement Year 2024 release was the earliest one ever for Cotiviti, released in this past July. I cannot believe it has almost been a year, but it has. And here we are talking about the end and then the beginning again. And a couple of other highlights that I really think go to speak about the quality of the work that all of you do with us day in and day out. And that 100% of our HEDIS clients have submitted ahead of the deadline. 100% of the retrieval clients projects where Cotiviti was doing the retrieval hit and exceeded the goal, and 100% of our clients who use Cotiviti for abstraction passed the first round of MRRV. So incredible success, and we are so excited and thankful for all of your collaboration and work to get us all to be looking at these amazing results for this past year. I will also say that in 2024, we have, as an organization within the software that we released, more than 80 enhancement requests. So this is really to say thank you for taking the time, energy, and the effort to provide us with the feedback. Our software and services continue to be better because of the input provided by all of you day in, day out to your account teams and operations teams. So thank you for doing that. Continue doing the same thing as we go on. And for those of you who are on the call who are Cotiviti clients, the 2025 Measurement Year planned enhancement detail will be shared over the coming weeks. So you will see what all is scheduled to be rolled out, and those updates will, again, be provided throughout the season as the season goes on. And I will also, another thing that's really exciting is that Measurement Year 2025 marks the 25th consecutive year of Cotiviti being a certified HEDIS vendor by NCQA. We have been doing this for a long time and partnered with many of you throughout all of these years. But the certification validates that Cotiviti measures have been put through that thorough testing required to effectively support all of you. And our 25 years show that we have the staying power to be the long-term partners to our clients while navigating change and adapting as HEDIS evolves, like on the path to digital measurement, which I know all of us are working on and collaborating as we move forward to be able to satisfy the regulatory requirements. So coming out of the successful HEDIS season, what really makes the difference is what happens after the season ends. So we are brushing off 2024 and we're moving on to measurement year 2025. So let's talk about some of the best practices to set you up for upcoming successful another HEDIS season. And these are some of the principles that we adhere to here within Cotiviti as well. And it all starts with a thorough review of the most recent season. This includes analyzing what worked for you, where there were delays, if any, and identifying any gaps in data or quality. By digging into these insights, you can start to develop targeted strategies to optimize your HEDIS scores moving forward. A big part of that review also involves creating a feedback loop with providers. Sharing high-level results not only builds transparency, but also opens the door for future collaboration. And when providers see the impact of their efforts, they're more likely to stay engaged and committed in upcoming cycles. Another thing that's critical is the cross-departmental collaboration. By breaking down silos and sharing responsibility across different teams within your organization, you can streamline communication, you can improve data capture, and ideally, reduce the need for in-season chart retrieval, right? We know how stressful this is. So as much as work you can do ahead of time, it really does help with downstream activities. All of these efforts, reviewing, feedback, and collaboration, work together to reduce that administrative workload and enhance overall productivity, making your next HEDIS season even more efficient and successful. And I mean, today's healthcare environment is pushing all of us to break down those departmental silos, which is what we just talked about. Regulatory shifts, financial pressures, and provider network challenges are no longer isolated issues. Therefore, collaboration is imperative. On the regulatory front, NCQA's move to digital quality measurement demands a proactive year-round strategy. At the same time, as we all know, CMS is shifting towards prospective risk adjustment and risk capture, therefore making retrospective only approach outdated. I know we are here talking about quality today, but you cannot escape the fact that a lot of the activities from the risk adjustment and quality really do cross efforts. Therefore, doing the work proactively really does make a difference for HEDIS as well as risk. And provider networks are feeling the strain. 60% of health plans report friction due to siloed risk and quality efforts. Therefore, even though we are talking about HEDIS today, financially, the cost of retrospective risk and the inefficiencies of the seasonal HEDIS cycles are squeezing margins and driving up administrative burden, which we all know from the conversations with many of you. And the opportunity here really is clear. To stay ahead, you must move towards the more integrated year-round approach to quality as well as risk activities. So let's just review the foundations of the medical record retrieval across quality programs. There are a few strategies that we want to highlight, and these few strategies can drive success in this area. Namely, the strengthening your provider retrieval processes, improving your provider data, consolidating outreach efforts, and investing in digital connectivity. I'm sure a lot of you have heard all of this before, but I mean, this is something that are critical basic things that you all need to do. And when you invest in strong processes, you will see the measurable improvements in outcomes. And those can be things such as faster retrieval times, as well as higher quality data, helping you close the gaps. So just a few examples on the provider data. By leveraging a curated data set, one that includes historical insights into provider locations, an example, and outreach preference, you can tailor your engagement strategies, making them far more efficient and effective. You can also create request optimization, streamlining the administrative side of retrieval, things like grouping requests by location or use case, These things not only reduce provider abrasion, but they also improve the overall operational efficiencies. This is particularly powerful for Cotiviti when working across multiple plans or use cases. And finally, the channel strategy. While investment in digital retrieval is essential, it's just as important to have flexible outreach strategy, because we all know that not all providers are digitally mature. We are getting there, but we are not fully there yet. So using a mix of digital and traditional communication methods ensures you're able to meet providers exactly where they are. And this flexibility really directly translates to higher retrieval rates. So as we continue, just keep these in mind, because all of these strategies play a role in improving the efficiency and effectiveness of the quality program. And now that we talked a little bit about retrieval, I want to just highlight a few things on the proactive approach to gap closure. So, and the message here I think is really simple, and that is to start early. Engaging providers early in the measurement year gives you more time to close gaps and improve outcomes. Building the strong relationships with those high provider groups up front, clearly outlined in the project, the timeline, the expectations. These things build trust and set the stage for smoother collaboration. Leveraging technology like automated retrieval tools or EMR integration to reduce manual work and speed up access to records. You should also prioritize high-impact measures, such as colorectal cancer screening and hemoglobin A1C control. These can significantly influence your overall scores. But as I said earlier, don't do it alone. I mean, we talked about breaking down the silos. You should be working with your cross-functional teams to bring in diverse expertise and address issues from all angles to help improve the scores, because it is a team effort. And lastly, reduce provider burden by offering flexible retrieval options like remote access, on-site visits, or secure email. Starting early and working smarter really does set the foundation for a more efficient and successful HEDIS season. And as you bring these strategies together, the impact really becomes clear. You will be able to maximize value, improve retrieval performance, and close gaps more effectively. And to measure success, you should look for key indicators like more efficient retrieval operations and stronger ROI, strategic gains for in-year round gap closure, and streamlined processes that reduce provider abrasion and dependency. So a lot of great work that you've done, but a lot of things that you can do to improve, even in a small strides for the upcoming HEDIS season. And now that we have reviewed these strategies, learned from Measurement Year 24, I will pass it on to Sam to talk about what's forward in the pipeline for 2025.
Thank you, Branka. Yeah, so now that we have reviewed those successes and strategies learned from last year, let's look forward to what's in the pipeline for 2025. So we'll start by taking a look at the NCQA audit timeline for Measurement Year 2025 compared to the deadlines from last season. Continuing the trend of the last few years, several of the due dates for key audit deliverables have shifted even earlier. Audits of supplemental data, preliminary rates, medical record review validation, and plan-locked IDSS submissions are all due a day earlier in 2026. However, we do see the submission deadline for auditor-locked IDSS and finalized CMS patient-level detail move forward to a June 15th final deadline this season. When you're finalizing your yearly HEDIS project plans, ensure you're on target to meet these increasingly earlier audit deadlines. To help you meet these deadlines, let's take a look at our upcoming release schedule for the new measurement year. So here we have some of the major planned features for our upcoming releases, though final delivery timelines and functionality are subject to change as development progresses. This week, we'll be releasing the first release of Measurement Year 2025 software to our plan clients. It will include a majority of the certified HEDIS measures for the season, including certified long-term services and supports measures. Our sampling and abstraction functionality has been updated for 2025 changes and will be usable with the first release, including our medical record scan and highlight functionality, which uses optical character recognition and key search terms to help plans quickly and easily locate relevant HEDIS data points within member medical records. We also have many client-requested enhancements within our first release. including a new chart review productivity report, added code mapping flexibility for handling that loss of ICD-9 codes in HEDIS value sets, and multiple additional member-level data points added to measure results to support unique measure reporting and analysis use cases. With our August release, we've been working on additional enhancements to our medical record review and IDSS submission functionalities, including the capability to save multiple unique IDSS configurations for a single product. October, we'll have the California Align Measure Perform certified measures, as well as some key enhancements. Our new measures dashboard will assist plans in tracking progress toward goals, comparing rates between data runs, and monitoring results across all products with a filterable, configurable data elements grid. We're also looking forward to the release of our FHIR data ingestion, allowing plans to boost your rates with supplemental data by ingesting FHIR patient bundles for use with traditional HEDIS measure reporting. November is planned to include certified CAPS and QHP measures, as well as finalized IDSS XML submission output for preliminary rate review. Additionally, with NCQA postponing the release of their RAND table for sampling, we will have their updated RAND values incorporated with this release to support December production samples for those of you that participate in early sampling. To close out the 2025 submission functionality and begin preparations for proactive gap closure in 2026, February will see the release of the finalized CMS Medicare patient-level detail output files, as well as the initial 2026 updates for our supplemental data abstraction templates. These data collection templates allow plans to easily capture compliance and exclusions from medical records to generate supplemental data to boost rates for select administrative and ECDS measures. Now that we've looked at the season ahead of us, let's dive into the noteworthy HEDIS specification changes that will be impactful to your yearly trending. Measurement Year 2025 has some major measure and reporting method retirements. The cervical cancer screening, childhood immunization status, and immunizations for adolescents measures are all retiring both administrative and hybrid reporting methods and transitioning to ECDS reporting only. Antidepressant medication management is being retired as well, with NCQA looking to shift the measurement focus to other existing ECDS depression measures. Yesterday, CMS posted the final call letter for Exchange Quality Rating System reporting, which finalized the retirement of 2 Pharmacy Quality Alliance measures, annual monitoring for persons on long-term opioid therapy, and international normalized ratio monitoring for individuals on warfarin. The final call letter also finalized the removal of social needs screening from Exchange reporting and the addition of blood pressure control for patients with hypertension. The hybrid care for older adults measure had another numerator retired with the removal of the pain assessment indicator. NCQA has noted that they're working on a new concept for a more comprehensive pain measure. They've not yet released it for HEDIS. Eye exam for patients with diabetes is also losing its hybrid reporting option, transitioning to administrative reporting only, along with some bigger changes to its numerator and exclusion criteria, including the move of bilateral eye enucleation from the numerator to a required exclusion, and the addition of multiple new numerator options, including left eye and right eye value sets for single eye enucleation and retinal eye exam findings. And finally, NCQA is retiring the use of ICD-9 codes from all of their value sets, which look back into a patient's history, which means that historical ICD-9 codes for things like member cancer diagnoses will require code mapping for the data to be used for HEDIS reporting. Now that we've reviewed some of the major retirements for 2025, let's take a look at the first-year measures being introduced this season. Blood pressure control for patients with hypertension is NCQA's take at transitioning the controlling high blood pressure measure to an ECDS measure. This measure will be for all product lines, including Exchange. It is not an exact copy of the CBP measure. NCQA has expanded the eligibility criteria for BPCE to include members who've had a visit with a hypertension diagnosis, as well as a dispensed antihypertensive medication added to the eligible POP. The required exclusions for BPCE are nearly the same as CBP, However, note that the non-acute inpatient stay criteria that's part of the event diagnosis logic of CBP has been moved to an exclusion for BPCE, which means that BPCE can have this exclusion sourced from supplemental data, whereas CBP can only pull the exclusion from administrative data. The numerator criteria was modified with the March technical update so that it now matches CBP's numerator logic. But given that the eligible population criteria has been expanded for this measure, your numerator total is not likely to match your CBP results either. We also have 2 new mammogram measures this year for commercial Medicaid and Medicare product lines, with documented assessment after mammogram and follow-up after abnormal mammogram assessment. DBME will look at members 40 to 74 years old to see if their episodes of mammograms between December 18th of the prior year through December 17th of the measurement year have had a BI-RADS score documented on or within 14 days after the mammogram. Note that NCQA recently clarified that a single BI-RADS numerator event can only make one mammogram denominator event compliant. So every mammogram event will need a separately documented BI-RADS score. Additionally, NCQA has clarified that multiple mammograms on the same data service, the same provider, should be counted each as unique denominator events, which adds complexity to the measure, given that mammogram data for the same event is likely to be present in multiple different data sources for plans that may load claims, supplemental data, and EHR data for the improvement of their breast cancer screening measure results. Both of these clarifications were just posted today to NCQA's FAQ website for your reference. FMAE will look at the same age group, but the denominator is based on BI-RADS scores, which are inconclusive or high risk within the timeframe of October 3rd of the prior year through October 2nd of the measurement year. An inconclusive episode is compliant if there's a mammogram or breast ultrasound on or within 90 days of the BI-RADS score, whereas a high-risk episode is compliant if there's a breast biopsy on or within 90 days of the BI-RADS score. NCQA has also clarified that a single numerator event for FMAE can make all denominator events in the same risk category compliant within the 91-day window, which differs from DBME. This clarification was also posted to NCQA's FAQ website today. Additionally, both of these mammogram measures are highly dependent on BI-RADS scores from either SNOMED or RADLEX radiology lexicon codes. If you do not have these codes in your source data, DBME will have no numerator and FMAE will have no denominator. Now that we've reviewed the first year measures, let's take a look at some upcoming cross-cutting race and ethnicity reporting changes. NCQA has redesigned the data sources utilized by the Race and Ethnicity Diversity of Membership measure for 2025. Some of these changes are just new verbiage, such as changing Health Plan Direct to Health Plan Collected, CMS state databases to enrollment files, and indirect to imputed. While there is still an unknown data source category in 2025, note that this is not the same unknown data source category from 2024. What was called unknown in 2024 has been renamed this year to no data. The new unknown data source for 2025 now represents race or ethnicity data where you have a valid value, but you do not know the origins of that race or ethnicity data to be able to assign it to one of the other existing categories. This year, we also see a drastic reduction with 58% less data elements for the race and ethnicity stratifications due to NCQA removing the sub-stratification by direct and indirect data sources. Measures that have race and ethnicity stratifications will now just report the totals for each race or ethnicity category accordingly. Let's take a look now then at some of the upcoming changes anticipated to be impactful for Medicare star ratings. So in 2025, NCQA has expanded the ages for the breast cancer screening measure to include ages 40 to 49. The existing 50 to 74 age group will continue to be used in the star ratings program calculations, whereas the new age group will be added to the star ratings program display page for 2 years. The new age group is anticipated to be added in measurement year 2027 for star ratings year 2029 reporting. While not yet finalized, CMS has proposed adding the initiation and engagement of substance use disorder treatment measure as a one-time weighted measure that averages the initiation and engagement numerators for measurement year 2026 and star ratings year 2028 reporting. We recommend monitoring performance of this measure now in advance of the possible addition to the star ratings program. In this year's NCQA public comment period, some larger changes were proposed for the statin therapy for patients with cardiovascular disease measure, including expanded ages and the removal of sex-specific age criteria. If these substantive changes are put into effect with measurement year 2026, SPC would move to the display page of the star ratings program for 2 years for potential future inclusion back in the program. NCQA is continuing to transition measures to ECDS only reporting. With that, CMS has indicated that if a measure's only change is to transition to the ECDS reporting method, CMS will consider this change as non-substantive and may transition to the ECDS measure for the star ratings program without moving to the display page first. And finally, with the introduction of the Equitable Health Outcomes for All reward factor, plans will need to identify members with social risk factors to determine their reward eligibility, calculate SRF performance scores, and determine their estimated EHO for all reward. This reward factor will contribute up to a maximum of 0.4 stars towards your contract rating, depending on your plan composition. We have implemented EHO for all reward factor analysis within our Star Intelligence application to help plans with preparing for the introduction of this reward factor. Now that we've reviewed some of the key CMS star ratings impacts for Medicare, let's look at an update on our support of state Medicaid reporting. So in 2024, we worked with our health plan clients to meet their state reporting needs, and we received state reporting specifications for all of the states indicated in purple on this map. However, with CMS mandates to utilize a standard set of CMS core measures for state Medicaid reporting, our health plan clients have also been able to utilize our existing CMS core measures to report within additional states in white on this map. This measure set will be our basis for the start of measurement year 2025, and we will continue to adapt and expand our measure library to meet each state's individual reporting needs for the plans we support in these states. This year, we've also seen a major increase in the state-reported measure stratifications, adding new reporting for geography, sex, race, and ethnicity in several measures. Our custom stratification measures allow plans to easily calculate these CMS stratifications with the necessary HEDIS and CMS core measures. We've also built new extracts this year for multiple states that utilize HSAG as their state auditor to support their new rate reporting templates, or RRTs, allowing plans to easily extract their data from Quality Reporter directly into the RRT layouts for HSAG state Medicaid submissions. We know the needs of states can be complex, and so feedback, such as the quote here from a class survey respondent, show the value we're adding through our state measure program. We understand there's a lot more than just HEDIS measures involved in yearly quality efforts, and that remains top of mind as we work on our digital strategy for the future of quality. On that note, I'll pass the presentation over to Jameson to dive deeper into that digital future.
Thank you, Samantha, for all the great content on what's coming up in measurement year 2025. Again, my name is Jameson Gillitzer, and I'm excited to talk to you all about the hot topic of digital quality today. So before we get started, I like to do a level set. I think there are times when this topic can feel overwhelming, scary. You hear terms that kind of trigger certain thoughts if you don't know the definition, like FHIR, digital measures, ECDS, interoperability, implementation guides, etc., etc. So I like to start with this little level set to make it feel a little less scary. I promise it's not as scary as it sounds. The way I like to talk about it is the change is taking place in two main ways, and that's related to the measure logic as well as the data model. So if we break down how the measure logic and data model are changing between traditional measures and digital quality measures, it gives you a pretty good grasp on what is really taking place. So, starting with this grid, we're going to start with traditional measures and the measure logic. So today, Cotiviti, as a certified vendor for going on 25 years now, we receive Volume 2 specifications like many of you do, I'm sure, and other vendors. And we read those specifications, we interpret what's in them, and we code them in our own language. And then we certify them with the measure steward. So you can imagine throughout this process, right, there are some inefficiencies that take place. You all know it takes quite a bit of time from the point we receive the specifications to interpret, code, and certify those measures and ultimately release the final versions back to you all. But that's what's happening today in terms of measure logic. We're coding them ourselves based on the specifications and requirements that are laid out by the measure steward. The data model that our measures play nice with are our own data model. So for Cotiviti customers, that's our quality engine input specifications or our in layouts that you all are likely familiar with. This is Cotiviti's data model. This is the way we require you to send us data so that our measures can execute. So as I mentioned, this process, the one we use today, is open to some interpretation. Not everything is covered in the specifications, for example. Cotiviti creates their own interim bill logic as one example of something that we code ourselves. Therefore, there can be some interpretation variation across the industry. This process is largely manual and it creates some reporting overhead along with it. So now, how do DQMs, digital quality measures, vary compared to what we're doing today? Well, in terms of measure logic, these DQMs come to the vendor pre-coded, in the case of NCQA with HEDIS measures, in the clinical quality language or CQL. So instead of us receiving Volume 2, coding them ourselves and certifying them, we will actually get them directly from the source. Now what this does is it creates comparability. Across the industry, we're all operating from the exact same measure logic because it's coming from the exact same source. Now, in terms of the HEDIS measures, again, what data model will these measures execute with? They will use FHIR. I'm sure you've all heard a lot about FHIR in the last couple of years. Fast Healthcare Interoperable Resources is the name. This interoperable data standard is what was chosen to execute with HEDIS measures. So in the future, we will use pre-coded, if you will, measures from the measure steward, operating with the FHIR data model to execute those measures. So what this does is now creates more standardization, creates more interoperability, and less reporting overhead. In terms of timelines, I'm sure you've all likely heard, but the date we're marching toward for digital-only reporting is 2030. Now, I do want to point out the quality is more than just measures. Measures are very important. The output of the measures are very important, but we know that's just one piece of the puzzle. You're doing a lot with those measures after they're executed to ensure that your providers are aware of where they sit with incentives. You reach out to the correct members to go in for services. You're feeding data all over your organization and likely to other vendors to solve a number of use cases. So the value brought throughout the quality ecosystem is more than just the measure execution. There's a lot more that goes into it. Now, Cotiviti hosts an annual client conference with our customer base called CCC. You'll hear me reference it a couple of times throughout this rest of this presentation. For CCC 2024, I co-presented with NCQA, and we had a little roundtable on digital measurement, asking questions of the audience. One question we polled the audience on at that session last year was, do you have a plan for your FHIR data transformation? I'm not asking if you're ready. I'm not asking if you have budget dollars. I'm asking if, do you have a plan? At that time, about a year ago, 71% of the audience said no, while 29% of the audience said yes. Now, fast forward to just about a little over a month ago, we held our Cotiviti Client Conference 2025, And we ask the exact same question of the audience. Do you have a plan for your fire data transformation? And we see a positive trend here. At this year's client conference, 50% of the audience said, yes, we do have a plan, while 50% said no. And this is great to hear. This means you all are doing what you need to do to start to ramp up, aligning internally, learning, training, attending sessions like this, getting up to speed on what's everybody doing and when, which is great to see. So we'll likely ask this question again next year, and hopefully we see that positive trend continue as we all work toward 2030. Now, I'd like to take a couple minutes to do a live poll with you all. So we have a great attendance on this call, almost 400 or over 400 participants. I'd like to learn a little bit about where you all sit with a little bit more granularity. So what we'd like you to answer is, which of the below statements best describes the fire data you have available for quality reporting? So do you have an inventory taken, or sorry, you have not taken an inventory or made any progress on sourcing data in fire is the first option. You have some data mapped to fire for quality reporting, but you're unsure on the quality or completeness of that data. You have all of your data mapped to fire for quality reporting, but you're not currently running digital quality measures. And last but not least, you have all of your data mapped to fire for quality reporting, and you are running those DQMs or digital quality measures. So we've asked this question of our customers through a number of forums, our client conference, product advisory board, through strategic conversations, and I have their responses, but I'd love to hear from this audience where everybody sits, given we have such a large breadth of people on the call today. Looks like a lot of responses are coming in. This is great. I think at this point we can share those results so everybody can see them. So you should all see on your screen now the results of our poll. We had 137 of you weigh in, so thank you very much. And it looks like over half of you are in that first bucket. You haven't taken an inventory or made any progress on sourcing data in fire. With the next largest bucket, 34% saying, I have some data in fire, and I'm not really sure on its quality and completeness. Now, this is not surprising. I'll say this is very much in line with what we've heard from probably a lot of you all, a lot of our customers and non-customers through various channels. But it's important to recognize where you sit on this continuum and then what you need to do to move yourself along this continuum, right? The biggest hurdle, in my opinion, you're going to have with this transition is the data piece. You got to make sure you have the data to not only maintain the rates you produce today, but exceed them in the future. So we got to make sure that we're getting data into that fire standard or have a plan to do so, conforming to that HEDIS core implementation guide. Thank you for your participation there. And again, here's what we saw from our customers when we asked through various channels. Very, very similar to the output of the poll we just took together. Now, I want to piggyback off that, and I want to do one more live poll. What is your biggest barrier to starting or making progress on your digital transition? And you can select all that apply here. Is it the cost to implement and maintain? We hear this one quite a bit. Budgets are tight. This is going to require me to make a pretty substantial investment in technology. This could be repositories. This could be trainings. This could be hiring people that have the skill set you need. Or it could be augmenting your data. Maybe you have to go out and seek data from a third party to make sure that all of your data gaps are filled and you're at a minimum maintaining your current performance in a digital future. Could be the lack of internal knowledge and resources. As I said before, this can be a scary topic to some. This is a very large shift, of course, in our industry. So do you lack the internal knowledge and resources to feel confident about your approach? Strategic alignment is a huge one. I co-presented with a client at our Cotiviti client conference just a couple months back on this very topic and the importance of gaining strategic alignment, getting that leadership buy-in and support, and really making sure they understand the impact that digital quality will have on your organization. So lack of strategic alignment can definitely be a barrier, as well as we often hear about the risk of potential technology changes or pivots. With a lot of these earlier bullets, you're making investments, right? In people, technology, processes, education, getting visibility to your leadership. So what happens if there's a major pivot to technology? What could that mean? Is that a barrier to adopting some of these practices to move you forward? So a lot of responses. I think we're good to share them. 142 of you have responded, and we have almost a near tie, which is pretty impressive given the volume of people who voted here. Cost to implement and maintain, number one, with a close second being lack of internal knowledge and resources. So as I mentioned, we have these conversations with our customer base all the time, and these are also their top two. Cost to implement is a huge one right now. We know that budgets are tight. There are macro changes that are having an impact all over healthcare right now. And this is not an insignificant investment for some plans to make. Technology, resources, and data needed. How you start to get over that hurdle, of course, is by trying to build the business case to gain that strategic alignment. Show what kind of ROI could be expected and maybe chip away at your progress. Don't try and bite everything off at once. Pick a piece of your project that can be impactful to move you along, demonstrate that return on investment, and continue to scale it as we get closer to 2030. So appreciate you responding to that poll. Again, as I mentioned, our customer base, a lot of you all and others of you on the call who are not our customer base have said nearly identical to what we heard on that point. A couple of resources. One, Fire 101 on-demand training. So I recorded a on-demand Fire 101 training a few months back, and we posted it on our My Cotiviti site. And what this is meant to do is start to demystify Fire a bit. Again, I think people hear some of these terms and they start to shut down a little bit at times or get overwhelmed by them. So this training is meant to be very much a 101 level course, familiarizing you with some of the terminology, starting to draw parallels between what we do today with our data model and what Fire does, and kind of crosswalking the two and showing that they're not all that dissimilar when you break them down, and trying to demystify it a little bit. So this is for Cotiviti customers. If you want to scan the QR code, you'll have access to that on-demand training. One thing I will ask of you though, if you do watch this training and you did find it valuable, please take the survey at the end. We will consider creating more on-demand trainings based on how well this is received. So if you think this was a great introduction, but you'd like to go a layer deeper, we could consider a Fire 201 or a CQL 101, or interoperability 101. We could take this in a number of directions if there's an appetite for it. So I would recommend you all watch this training. It's about 25 minutes. Share it with team members who aren't familiar with Fire that want to get up to speed, and just get that baseline understanding so you walk into some of these conversations with a little more confidence. We also have Quality and Stars Knowledge Bank. We have a lot of great resources published on here, including some white paper we partnered with Rise on related to digital quality. So check out the second QR code as well. There's a lot of great resources for digital measurement and beyond. So what is Cotiviti working on? You all are likely familiar with at this point the phased approach that gets us from traditional reporting to digital only reporting. This is something that NCQA put out at their Health Innovation Summit a couple of years back, kind of mapping out what's changing and when. So what we've done is stage our roadmap to follow a very similar structure. So as we saw in our earlier poll, we're all at various degrees of readiness. So what we're trying to focus on is delivering solutions that help you not only with today, but with the future as well. So some of the things that help you with the today are the Fire training that I just referenced. We have some other mapping documentation for our customers, as well as the Fire ingestion for traditional reporting that Samantha mentioned earlier. In parallel, we are standing up digital quality workflows that will be made available to our Cotiviti customers. We will have more information coming in the coming weeks and months for our Cotiviti customers, what that means, when to expect it. But rest assured, we are working on this. We will fully support you through parallel reporting and all that goes along with it. A requirement for 1 year of parallel traditional and digital reporting. So no need to fret over that. We'll have much more information coming in the coming months here. It's also important to note that we are not developing a replacement for quality intelligence. What we're doing is creating a new backbone, if you will. So our engine processes may change, the way we intake data and the data model will change, but we'll continue to support the value add ecosystem of products that we do today. Quality Reporter isn't going away. Star Intelligence isn't going away. Engagement Hub isn't going away. Some of the services we offer for retrieval and abstraction are also not going away. So while the technology is changing, the workflows are changing, the measures are changing, we'll still support you in a similar fashion in the future. Now, tangibly, we have an action plan that you can take back with you. As we saw from our live polling, a lot of us are in the early stages of getting ready. So here's kind of a recommended things to do Monday morning or today if you want, the next 90 days or the next 90 to 365 days that will kind of set you up on the path to digital quality reporting. First thing, find out what other parts of your organization are working with FHIR. I promise you, there are other parts of your organization that are working with FHIR. Some of them due to the interoperability mandates that we've all seen. So check out who else is working with FHIR and see how you can partner with them to move the needle on your quality project. Take an inventory of what gaps in your data you do and don't have access to in FHIR. So it will be important for you to understand where the gaps lie within your data so that you can rectify them. This could mean you need to map data to FHIR for a period of time or purchase data from a data aggregator to fill in data gaps. But understanding where those gaps lie will be very important to your transition. It's also important to evaluate your downstream reporting needs. I know that you all do a whole lot with the output from quality intelligence today. A lot of you taking data out of our system in a number of formats and feeding it all over your organization as well as to other third parties. So map out who else uses quality data and what their requirements may be in the future so that you make sure as you move forward, their needs are accounted for as well to ensure a seamless transition. Over the next 90 days, participate in a training on FHIR, another plug for the on-demand training that I mentioned a few slides earlier. You could watch my training. You can find other trainings. You can just go on YouTube and Google or Google FHIR 101. You'll find a number of resources that are available. So pick any of them, watch them, and just create that baseline understanding, as I said before, so you have that confidence when you're walking into some of these conversations. Develop synergies between the quality team and other areas of your organization that are working with FHIR. So this could be partnering with your interoperability teams who are working on the mandates, or maybe partner with your risk teams who may be using FHIR for risk adjustment coding today. These projects can be large in scale. They are a fundamental shift. The way we exchange data across healthcare, there are likely teams within your organization who are using FHIR today. So how do you partner with them? Maybe get on their roadmap, start to see what other use cases are being solved and see how you can help one another build that business case to ultimately make the investment needed to get you toward digital quality reporting. Of course, budget for that new technology and infrastructure. So as you're identifying your needs, building that business case, gaining that strategic alignment, make sure you have the budget to cover what is needed for your organization to make the transition. 90 to 365 day, monitor your states. Keep an eye on what your state is doing in terms of digital quality measures. I haven't seen a ton of movement here, but there has been some. So keep an eye on what your state is doing. I know state reporting can be quite large for some organizations. I will say that we support quite a few more state measures than HEDIS measures today. So it's not an insignificant part, of course, remaining compliant for your organization. And there can be reimbursement tied to it as well. So monitor your states and what they're doing, what their roadmap is to transition to digital. So make sure you have an eye on those state reporting needs. Continue to evaluate your network's readiness. Make sure your providers are ready as best you can and devise strategies to help them get ready if you're in the position to do so. Again, continue to understand those data gaps and fill them as you can so there are no surprises as you move toward digital-only reporting. And create that plan for parallel reporting. As I mentioned before, there is a requirement to report in parallel both traditional and digital measures for a minimum of 1 year. So at Cotiviti, we will support our customers with parallel reporting. So we will have solutions that allow you to execute both traditional and digital quality measures and meet that parallel reporting requirement. So if you aren't using Cotiviti or have other solution or nuance you're concerned with, start thinking about what parallel reporting means to your organization. And last here, be aware of some performance tuning efforts that may be underway as well that you may have heard of. So a lot to bite off here. I know it's a very expansive topic. We do have 4.5 years. That 4.5 years will go by very quickly. So start thinking about what you can do Monday morning in the next 90 days and 90 to 365. If you follow some of the steps on this slide, you will be in a better position when we're having a similar conversation at next year's end of season webinar. So with that, I will turn it back over to Cassie to bring us home here.
Thank you so much, Jameson, Branka, and Samantha. This was such great information. Coming up on your screen is going to be a QR code to register for other webinars in the Quality Decoded series featuring experts from Cotiviti's Quality and Stars team. If you haven't already, you can register for the remaining webinars in the series, including Decoding the HEDIS technical specs coming up in September and a review of the STAR ratings in October. Also posted at this link and in the Cotiviti.com knowledge bank are the on-demand recordings from this webinar series, including our review of the HEDIS public comment in March and the CMS advance notice and final rule earlier in the year. Lastly, if you submitted any questions during today's presentation, your Cotiviti account team will follow up as appropriate. You can also send an email at any time with any questions you forgot to submit or you think of later to answers@cotiviti.com. And we'll get back to you as soon as we can with more information.